Welcome to the table for the Friday, December 6, 2024 installment of Market Plus. Back with us again, Mark Gold. Mark, you've done this show a time or two. You've been around the markets a time or two. Does this time period, you talked about this buy-off happens, or this news happens, this sell-off happens. Does this remind you of any time ever?
We've never quite seen a time like this that I can remember. All the chaos that's going on in the world, the new administration coming in, and again, President-elect Trump brings something to the table that we haven't seen except for in his past administration. And that adds, to the confusion and the chaos. Which of his nominees will actually get Senate confirmation remains to be seen. But for the most part, I like a lot of his choices. There's been one or two that I've been very questionable about. But I think Secretary-designate Rollins for Agriculture should be a good choice. She comes from a farm, I think, from Texas. So hopefully, she'll have the farmers back in this thing. And, we know that the Department of Ag has their agenda, but hopefully it's going to be much more farmer-friendly, particularly if these tariffs come on. We've got to do something. And we've got to get a farm bill done. It's not going to get done, best I can tell. Looks like a year extension. Maybe there'll be some benefit from the Farm Act, not the Farm Bill. But still, we've got to do something for the American farmer.
I'm sitting here looking at the picture behind you, the corn, the hay, the livestock that's over here. Farmer just has to keep plugging ahead.
Yeah.
But there's not much they can do about policy. So it's about protecting, it's about managing risk.
Yeah.
What else can someone do right now?
Well, managing risk, in my opinion, has always been the key. You've got to look at some of the alternatives that are out there. On some of your spots, even for Friday, they were talking about, keeping up and doing technology. And technology is not only in the computers and the physical technology that you work with every day, it's about the new tools in marketing that are available to you. And you've got to look at all these new things in order to survive. And we keep losing so many farmers, with $20,000 an acre. If you don't have somebody coming in, it's not real tough decision. If you don't have a family member who's going to take over the farm. And we're losing more and more of these farmers, and they're getting bigger and bigger. I can assure you, these big farm operations are looking at things, whether they're swaps and things that are a little bit more than just the options and futures, that can help the American farmer out here. And if you're going to compete, it's like, the little phone company trying to compete with the old Ma Bell. You're not going to do it.
Oh, you opened up. We could talk deregulation and all sorts of things. But let's talk a little more fun about South America and the Southern Hemisphere, Mark, because I want to ask the question, Gavin, in Nebraska. How many acres can South America expand before they plateau? That's another thing we have to think about, is just how much bigger our competition can get.
Well, Brazil can get bigger. There's no question about it. I was reading something today about certain groups coming against these Brazilian quotas on tearing up new land and whether it's sustainable. And it looks like the Brazilians and the people who are dealing with them don't really care. They want the product, they want it cheap. The real is cheap, as we mentioned. Prices are down. So they're going to plant more. There's no question they will plant more. So I view them as a long-term competitor. I don't see it going anywhere. I said for 20 or 30 years, one of these days, in my opinion, we could see Brazil planting all beans and the U.S. planting all corn. And they'll provide the beans, we'll provide the corn, and we'll see where we go. But there are things that can help the American farmer. If we can get some of this sustainable aviation fuel, that's a big market. Big market. That is a game changer if we can really step on the pedal to it. If we can get E15 year-round, that's a big deal.
Even as we cut our numbers driven of miles, we're not driving as much, or electric vehicles come into some and take some of that demand. So that brings me to ethanol and crude oil for a minute.
Okay.
We've heard the Saudis might be losing control of OPEC, but OPEC's always out there, but we still pump a lot of oil. We're probably going to pump more in this country. What does a lower I would guess, price for oil because we'll have more supply due to those who count on ethanol.
Well, it's not going to help it for sure, but we're still going to be driving. For the most part, we're still going to be driving gasoline engines, and the demand will be out there. I think we can drive more than we're doing now. Roads are being fixed, infrastructure is being fixed. Right now, it's a headache in Chicago. For 3 years, we've got the Kennedy torn up for 3 years. But once that's done, there'll be more and more people on the road. So oil prices, in my opinion, should go a lot lower. Maybe, can we go to $55 a barrel? Why not? Could we go lower? Why not? Depending on what happens with OPEC. But the fact of the matter is, we're still going to drive. We're going to drive more. Could we go back to gas guzzlers? Can I get my Dodge Charger back and run that around town a little bit? Maybe.
If you're willing to pay.
If you're willing to pay.
All right, let's get to another question here. Mitch in Iowa has a couple, and Mitch always gives us a lot of good things. What's your target for marketing corn currently stored in the bin? You had said, I'll answer it. You already said sell. Would you
But by the call.
That's the next question. Yeah. Would you be carrying put option protection with a new administration coming in?
Not at these price levels. I'm not sure that a put's going to pay. What are you going to buy? A $4 put for 15 or 20 cents? Take it down to $3.80 floor? I don't see corn going under that, which is why I don't want to play that game. If you've got the corn in the bin, sell it. You've got the great basis in most places. Take advantage of it. Buy the call. Let's see what develops over time on the upside. But the beans are a different matter.
Well,
we've talked about.
And Mitch has the follow-up to you there, Mark. Has the ship for the marketing year 24 crop soybeans sailed, or are there better seas ahead?
With this big Brazilian crop coming in, potentially, it's probably sailed. I hate to say that, but it doesn't look good. Now, we're just heading into the critical weather stage for Brazil, starting mid-December through January. That's when you're going to make the bean crop in Brazil. Can it turn hot and dry down there? It can. Are the odds real strong that it will? Probably not. But in the meantime, you still have to look at buying some kind of put protection for the next 2 or 3 months to get through all this.
Do you subscribe to the theory? I mean, a lot of seasonality or typical cycles haven't quite been in place the last couple of years. Sometimes there's this rally between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah. Is that behind us?
I think the corn still got some more upside potential. The beans, $10 has been a wall of resistance in the nearby. Until we close over that a couple of times, I think you've got to be very careful out here, because every day that goes by, we're getting closer and closer to inauguration, more and more tariffs perhaps, and a big Brazilian crop. That doesn't bode well for the beans in the long run.
You got something positive we can end on?
Corn.
Well, let's close with that. Tuesday's report, do you see, you kind of talked about it in the main program, kind of what your thoughts were, but any surprises than the norm?
Exports on corn and beans, hopefully they'll increase those. Hopefully ethanol production will be increased. The crush has been incredibly strong. 215 million bushels, 4 million over what they were looking for, a new record. Those were all positives in the long run. And again, if we can get E15, aviation fuel on board, those are all positives that can work into this thing. So do I really want to be bearish at 980 beans? No, but there's still risk out there down to 850 with the Brazilian crop coming on board.
You were supposed to stay positive at that point. Try. All right. Good to see you, Mark. Happy holidays. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, Mark Gold, everyone. A reminder to get signed up for that Market to Market Insider newsletter. It's free. Sign up at markettomarket.org. Next week, we go back in time to explore the early days of this program. And we'll have the commodity market analysis from Naomi Bloom. Thank you for joining us, and have a great week.